Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back for another devlog video. I'm back after a bit of a hiatus. I do want to just apologize about that real quick. I know in the last devlog I mentioned I did start a new job and that I would be gone for a little while. So I did in fact start a new job. It was also in a new industry. So there was a lot of learning involved at first, and it was hard to basically go to work and learn all day and then come back and be motivated to work on programming and devlogs. I was pretty drained. So that's why I ended up taking the initial bit of time off. Then what happened is the holiday season came, and I was real busy for the holidays. And just spending time with family and everything like that. And then after that, I got pretty sick with the pandemic, and so I was sick. I didn't feel like doing anything. On top of that, I'm also working full-time and I'm a full-time student, so I've just been busy. But I'm back. I'm ready to start developing again. Today is just going to be a bit of a short video. I don't have anything to show you in the game. Basically, we're just going to talk about what I want to accomplish coming up here in the game. So we're back on the whiteboard with my terrible handwriting. But basically what I would like is I'd like to finish a prototype or maybe a vertical slice or even like an MVP, a minimum viable project, something like that, where essentially I'm saying that the core gameplay will be there, so it's a proof of concept, but I don't let scope creep really take place yet. So I want the basics of the basics done, so that way I can go in and play a game and then start adding features after that, rather than trying to get all these features started and completed before there's any playable gameplay, if that makes sense. And so we're going to write here what I want to accomplish for the MVP. So the first thing I think I need is a farm area. Right now the game kind of takes place in one prototype area, and it's got, a few soil tiles, it's got test NPCs, it's got like a little jungle gym just to test movement. So the prototype's kind of moved beyond that phase. We don't really need that anymore. The movement works pretty well, gravity's implemented, all of that stuff works. So now I need to start making the first prototype farm area where we could test out more of the game functions that have to do with farming. Your farm, that's probably the part of the map you'll spend the most time on, and so it's the part that I'm going to be testing the most on. I've got even worse drawing than I've got handwriting, but I'll just doodle out real quick kind of what I'm thinking, and of course this will be very much a prototype. But I'm thinking player house will be right here along this X, and then the majority of this area will be farmable. So there'll be soil tiles that you can plant. Somewhere in there will be a water source. I don't know exactly how it'll work, whether it be a well or a pond or something like that. There will probably need to be multiple water sources, when everything's said and done. And then I think what I'd like is similar to Harvest Moon on the GameCube, I'd like a fenced-in area with the barn. So that way you can let the animals outside in the field. You'll grow your grass there that you feed the animals with to make hay. And so that'll kind of go there. And then, of course, we just need a chicken coop. I haven't really thought about where that'll be, but, we'll just put it somewhere like that for the prototype. And then there will just kind of be the path that leads out into the main area of the map. And so that's kind of what I imagine the prototype to be like. It'll have all the buildings we need. It'll have a large portion of farmable area. So that way, you know, we can test crops, we can grow crops, we can add water limits to the watering cans, because that's kind of currently missing. We've also got a barn, so we can enter there. We can add a feeding mechanic, so we'll have, you know, troughs that you fill up with hay. We'll have to add a hay count. And then, of course, we'll be able to add animals. So we'll start with just cows for the barn and just chickens for the coop, just to get some working prototypes in there. You know, they'll have to have their own kind of dumb AI where they'll just walk in their own little area. And of course, they'll eat once or twice a day, depending on how we decide to do that. And then they'll have their own interactions available. So happy fed chickens will leave an egg every morning. Cows will be milkable. Stuff like that. So that being said, going back to our list of needs, number 2 would be animals. And like I said, that will be cows and chickens for now. And then number 3, or kind of like a 2A, will be our animal interactions. And like I said, they'll vary based on the animal you're interacting with. So we'll have things like pick up, because you can pick up chickens, milk. That doesn't look like a K, but that's okay. Talk, and brush, just to name a few. So there will be more items needed as well. We'll add a milker, we'll add a brush. But so that's kind of what's needed for animals. And already, once we've added those in, we're already looking at the farming portion of the prototype kind of complete. Once we have interactions with animals, we'll have to add a few other things. We'll call this, we'll just put it down here now while we're writing it out. This will be kind of still 2B. It's kind of still in 2, but we'll just write 4. We'll need an animal health. And affection. So the more they like you, the better quality produce they'll give you, and their health will be based on, have you fed them, have you left them outside, things like that. They will get sick, they could potentially die if you don't take good care of them. That's something that Stardew Valley kind of decided to move away from, but I think was a fair part of earlier Harvest Moon games. I think, you know, not taking care of your animals and then still having them produce for you and be of financial benefits to you makes the game a little easier than I'm trying to make it. You know, a cow will be a good chunk of money to purchase, and so I want you to be incentivized to take care of that animal. And so it'll kind of be twofold. One, the more you take care of it, the better produce you'll have, so you'll make more money off the cow. But 2, if you don't and it dies, that's a big chunk of money you've just wasted. And I think that adds more incentive to take care of your animals. And of course, you know, that may get tweaked along the way as we further develop the game, but that's kind of what I'm imagining right now. Just another little thing I forgot to add in the map. Doesn't really matter where this goes, but this will be the sell box. We'll need that on there as well so we can monetize our produce. And so with that, and with these 4 items here, I think that's going to really be able to give us a slice of life, a day in the life of this farm game. And I say a day in the life because there's one thing we really need to make the multi-day, the weeks, the months, the seasons pass by, and we need a sleep system. So we'll go ahead and write that in. And so basically, when you go inside your house and interact with your bed, you'll be able to go to sleep. You've played Stardew Valley, you've played Harvest Moon, you know how this works. The only question I have on this is, and I don't know the answer yet, will it be set hours or until morning. And what I mean by that is, will you sleep, for example, 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours? Or will you sleep as many hours as it takes to get to a certain point the next morning? And I haven't really decided yet. I think this will take some play testing to really determine where I want to go with this. Because say you get your farm work done and it's 10 a.m., just as an example. You don't want to end the day because there's an NPC you want to interact with, but maybe the bar doesn't open till 10 p.m. or wherever they're going. You know you want to meet them somewhere, but they don't go there until later that night. So you currently have two options. Wait around, find something to do with your time until then, or go to sleep for, 5-6 hours, and then wake up that night. So you see what I'm saying? Like, if you slept for 6 hours, it'd be like 4 o'clock. So, 8 would be 6. So you'd still have more time in that same day to do things later on in the day without having to be bored. I think that's the plus side of that. The downside is if you're just trying to get to the next day, then you have to sleep twice. And not only that, if it's always a set time, you may wake up later than you want in the day or something like that. There is a solution I've kind of thought of that it would be a bit more work, but we may consider it. So we'll call this one 5A. And that would be an alarm clock. And basically you would set this for a specific time, and then it would wake you up at that time. The only problem I foresee here is if you forget you set it for a certain time. So say you set it for 10 p.m. because you want to meet somebody at night. You wake up at 10 p.m., you go do your thing, and then you go back to sleep. Well, it's still set for 10 p.m., so now you wake up 10 p.m. the next day, and you've wasted a whole day. That could be a problem. And there's a few things we could do to stop that. We could reset it every time it's used, so that way, we'll choose a default time, like you wake up at 6 a.m. every day or something like that. We can also just make it so if you cross into a new day, it always wakes you up at 6 a.m. and then you have to set it for a time. So we'll take a look at that as we play test. I just wanted to let you know like the problems I'm foreseeing with it and the ideas I'm having for that. So once we have a sleep system, then all of a sudden you can start doing multi-day stuff. Because right now it just takes too long. If you're planting crops to test them and you're just waiting for the next day, well, then you have to stand around for the next day. And once we change the day-night cycle to be, 10 minutes or however long we decide days will be, it'll be a lot of waiting just to test out stuff. So we definitely need that sleep system intact. That being said, of course, there's other systems we'll need that I already kind of spoke about. But so 6, there will need to be a hay inventory. And a hay, what's the word I'm going to use here? Dispenser. So that way you can get hay and then add it to a trough. And so then we'll also need troughs to add the food to. And I think there will be one in the barn and one in the coop, so for chickens and cows. And I know there's probably more stuff, but this is what I'm thinking right now. This is what's needed for the vertical slice I'm looking for. Where farm work is possible, we can test it out, we can do it, we can play the game. Not nearly in its complete form, but we can. And of course, we'll have a few other things. We'll still have the shop NPC either somewhere in the farm map, or maybe we'll start working on the rest of the map. But for now, we'll probably just put a shop somewhere on the farm so that way I can quickly and easily access resources as needed, buy more seeds, whatever. And so I think that's what we're going to work on next. So for now, that's really going to be it for this episode. Next episode, we're going to jump right back into it, and we're going to start working on this farm area. We're going to start making the area for this farming stuff to happen. And so we'll do that next time. In the meantime, thanks for being patient for me. Thanks for tuning in and checking this out. I'm going to try to upload more often again. I think I'm going to shoot for every other week right now. So, twice a month I'll have a video. And so, I'll see you in the next one. We'll get started on this farm area. Please leave any comments with questions or concerns, and like the video if you don't mind. And I will see you all in the next one.